Okay, so today we'll be discussing on the MARPOL Annex 6, regulation for the prevention of air pollution from ships. Alongside, there are some new, like I shared in the group, there are some new updates from the last IMO meeting. It's called the MSC 105. It's the 105 session. Fifth session of the Maritime Safety Committee of IMO. So there's some new information from that, and I hope we'll be able to have time as well just to touch on it, because for those that will be going for exams soon or things that will be happening soon, you need to know so you're not really out of date. I think there's a new chapter, a proposed new chapter for SOLAS. So that I hope we'll find that interesting at some point. I haven't delved so much into it to know the implications or ramifications of all these things. But anyway, we will try and do it as an intro. I believe this class is an intro. We add more from here, add more with other things we learn elsewhere, and we make the world better. All right. So yes, Annex 6 is what we are doing today. So do we understand? I'd like somebody in the class understands how this ratification happens. What does it mean, or what does it mean that the signature states, the tonnage? Does anybody in this amongst us, can somebody just explain to us, what the signature states? What is the tonnage requirements? Then what does it mean that it enters into force? So, can somebody explain? Anybody kind enough to explain that? Nobody's kind. Wow. Let me see. Who should I look for trouble today? If there's nobody that wants to talk, let me look for trouble. So we have Okuta. Where is Okuta? Adeleke. We have two Adelekes in the house today. Who's Okuta? And we have Peter Aluma. Do you want to just explain this bit as much as you understand it? No? Okay, not interested? Uma, are you there? Uma has disappeared. Okay, so let me see, it's coming back. All right, so let me explain it. So once there's a protocol, when there is a new thing in MARPOL or IMO, so there's going to be like a requirement for it to enter into force. That you need XYZ number of signature states, because not everybody will sign it. Some people will like it, some people will not like it. Some people will like something, they want to add something, they're not comfortable with something. So I give an example. We're talking about climate change, but some countries actually benefit from climate change because now they have a little bit more warmer weather. They can have a longer farming season than normal. They can actually have the Arctic is not the areas in which they can navigate. Is warmer and means they can navigate longer. So yes, there's something that is not even we are considering dangerous for the planet is good for some people, and that's how the system works. So you cannot really get everything good in all sides. Some will complain. So those that will not really like it will not want to sign it, obviously, or some will feel that, oh, we are shortchanged. You guys have benefited from this. Like another example is, when we talk about the this energy renewable energy and everybody doing renewable, stopping oil. The developing countries are saying it's not our business. You guys are the ones that spoiled it. Why should you enforce it on us? So you get all this front and back. So as a result, the protocol is ratified 15 signature states that they must have, but they can't just be signature states. You must put your money where your mouth is as well. Do you have the tonnage? When they talk about tonnage, how many vessels are registered under your flag? For it to come in. So the current status of this ratification is 22 countries. They require 15 and 50%. And those 22 countries, I'm sure they've exceeded the 50%. We'll see some of them at the moment. The protocol was ratified on the 18th of May, 2014, and entered into force 19th May, 2004, and entered into force 19th May 2005. So those dates are quite important for you to remember. But most importantly, I think you should remember how this thing works, how this ratification process works for all the annexes. It's interesting as well. So flag states that are party to the protocol, you see them. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, go on, move. No, sorry, Cap.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Okuta, please go ahead.
No, sir, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me put you on mute then. Now, let me put you back on mute then. Okay, so that's it. When you see countries, the way it works is this. You look at the country, some countries like Liberia, you guys can imagine Liberia has a lot of vessels under our fleet. So when you look at how many tonnage Liberia has, you compare maybe another country like Japan. Japan might not. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just pulling figures out. Or you see maybe Norway looks like, yes, they have. Bahamas sounds like, they have a lot. Azerbaijan, I don't know how much. But when you look at there are some countries that are small, but they have a lot of tonnage. So big countries that want this particular they want this particular protocol or anything to go through IMO or this negotiation, United Nations or whatever, they will lobby them to say, we want this, we want you to sign it, because you might just be one country, but you're coming with maybe 15% of the tonnage already that we need, and all that. So it's a bit of politics, how it goes. So for this, you can see some countries are not listed, but it still makes it. So yes, so if the fact that you did not sign it, then what happens? The fact that you did not sign it. So as long as it has been approved, it's approved for all. So you cannot say I did not sign it, I don't want it. In the process of while they are trying to ratify it, yes, those things can happen. You say, I'm not yet a member state. I think one example is the ballast water recently, if I'm right. A lot of you say, my flag state is not a signatory to it. But once it becomes law or everybody does it, it's something that you have to do. There's this last part, the bunker delivery document and sample. I think there is an update on this in the new document I mentioned, the MSF 105. Hopefully we'll be able to touch on that as well. All right, so emission gases from ships, some of them you are familiar with, some of them maybe not. And what do they create? So nitrogen oxides, or oxides of nitrogen, the ozone. The ozone is, let me just touch on it a little bit. It's a layer that protects the Earth from the sun, if I'm right, from too much of the sun. So when you deplete your ozone, you are allowing a lot of sun and its rays, heat to come into the Earth. Now, some other gases like the carbon dioxide, which is called the greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas, what they do is that, when the heat, the rays come into the Earth, it bounces back and goes back. Some of them will go back, some of them will stay. Now, the greenhouse gases, they stay in the sense that they would not allow the heat to go back. So as a result, they are like insulation for that heat, and that's what warms up the Earth. So, when you deplete your ozone, you allow more, then you now have carbon dioxide, which are like greenhouse gases. Then you don't allow the ones that are supposed to bounce back, radiate back to the surface to go out. So you just warm yourself, in that process. So sulfur oxide, that's acid rain, for example, it stays there. Carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, gas, soot, and of course, some of us will understand suits. I used to laugh that people in Port Harcourt, they should continue to use their mask, not because of COVID, but because of suits, and all that. So we want things to be better, but we don't want it at the detriment of our health, of the environment, and all that. So you also agree with me that a couple of these things come from our engine, from our exhausts, engines, and the type of fuel that we use. So has anybody actually even played with this Annex 6 on board? Do you know any document? Have you seen any document that is related to this Annex 6 that you can talk about? Okay, so well, one of the documents you see is your ozone record book, for example. Has anybody seen this? Some vessels keep this record. I think all vessels above some tonnage will have to keep this record. Has anybody seen this thing before? I find it's becoming more and more on board, prevalent on board. The engineers keep a record of this. Anybody in this class seen this particular document? Okay, so if you have, please just unmute, just give an answer. You don't need to raise your hand up. This is not a class, it's a discussion. Just imagine you are in the pub. Don't forget, this class started like a pub concept. You guys should not make it too serious. You should have your cup of tea. Whatever you put in the cup of tea is up to you. But just let's have fun. All right, so there are 19 regulations, but if you look at it, we are focusing on what will affect vessels and all that. So the regulation 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 18. Regulation 18 is the one that is quite interesting, and I think there's an update on that. So you see that some of them, if you look at regulation 18, fuel oil quantity, yes, you're looking at the quality, but you can also see that is again relating to another annex. When you see fuel, your mind should already tell you that okay, there's something there. Some vessels have incinerators, so you see that so in some companies they'll tell you certain items don't go into the incinerator because they don't want to release certain items into the atmosphere due to measures to safeguard the atmosphere. Apart from the fact that it might be dangerous, it can cause explosion. Some will just tell you, no, don't put this here because we have to comply. So yes, you will have to make sure that you don't deliberately release any ozone depleting substances. Hydrochloro. This is quite interesting. I know recently, was that last year or 2 years ago, they realized that some countries, I wouldn't mention name, were still using these hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFC. They were using it because it's a very good material for a particular product. Okay, I think they use it in making insulation or something like that because of what it does. And there are some countries that were using it, and these countries, and there are some countries that actually have what they use in detecting if you are using it. So it's quite interesting, and I followed it up, and they had to go to the IMO, go back to the country and say, we see that you guys are using this, can you stop it, blah blah blah, and that was quite fun. So just 1 minute, I think I lost my screen. So, and also, how do you handle this? How do you handle wastes that are considered ozone depleting substances? you should deliver them to shore facility. Okay, that's what the regulation is really talking about. So if you look at your engines in the engine room, some vessels have the International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate, yes, and you also have for each of the engines as well. You have a regulation for each of the engines. You should have some if you have those certificates is in compliance with this annex. This from the manufacturer. Certificates required for ships, EIAPP, IAPP. So when prostate controls come, they would probably have a look at all that as well. But also don't forget that each vessel, each generator will also have its own certificate from the manufacturer. All right. So this is a quick chart that we can look at. Remember that it's for vessels of 100 gross tonnage or above, which I think a lot of you guys will be on anyway. So if you are, then you need to be having some of the certificates anyway. I will also encourage us, if you're on board, play with the ship certificates. Request for the captain that you would like to see the ship certificate, and you want to update it. In recent times, I've gone on board. Most of the inventories of the ship certificate are, for some reason, they're not very correct. So you guys should use that as an advantage to do that. And one of the things you benefit from is that you see the certificate, you'll be able to open it, look at it, oh, okay, how long is it? When is there an intermediate? You see real life. It's not just what we're talking about. So, it gives you that experience. By the time you do it once, twice, you really know what you're supposed to do. And secondly, I should mention, if any certificate that is expired or you have a new one on board, except for your continuous industries record, you shouldn't really keep it in your certificate folder. It's not a good practice. So yes, you have this sulfur cap on fuel, and that's why some people's, I would say some countries, crude oil, excuse me a minute. Some countries' crude oil are favorable than some others because of the sulfur contents already. Okay, and now also there are special areas whereby their laws have come into force whereby you don't use some type of oil, heavy fuel oil or whatever. You have to change it. Yeah, and of course this thing comes with cost at the end of the day. So that's why some places manufacturing things can be expensive because of the kind of oil they want, the kind of, they are following all the regulation. And in some places, they don't follow those regulations that much, so they don't care. And, so you can get away with it. But the interesting thing is this, the countries that care so much, they will go and manufacture their things in the areas that they don't care. And, but they're trying to, to work on that as well, to bridge that gap. So they'll say, no, we are compliant here. But you ask them, what about the products you are using? Where are they made from? They are made in countries that are not compliant. So you're just more or less, how do I call it, leveraging or exporting your emissions to other places. You allow them to emit on your behalf. But the myopic thing about it is that it's one world there. So the fact that in some countries their pollution is so bad, they can't even breathe very well. The hair is it's like national breakfast. It will touch everybody, So that the whole globe will be warm at the end of the day, irrespective of where we pollute. So yes, if you are going to those areas, the Sika areas, you need to keep a logbook entry of your entry, the exits, your type of bunker, the tank you are using it. They need your liver, your kidney. Keep a record of these things, because or else you will get seriously fined by postates once they once they come and inspect it. So, you know, the dates, the time. So you see sometimes the engineers will call the deck and say, okay, please let me know when we enter this area. You know, I want to change oil. I need the latitude, longitude, I need the position. They're not stressing you there. They are just keeping the records for compliance. So yes, vapor return manifolds. I guess, I hope you can read as well. I don't just want it to be a read through. So I know that some terminals now, I think the Egina, the FPSO Egina, she's producing, and there's no flare at all. There's no. I visited her a couple of days or weeks back, and there's no flare. They're not burning anything, and they're producing. That's a very good one. So of course she's new, so they're very compliant. So if you have incinerator on board, I know incinerators is operated mostly by maybe third engineers and something like that, the younger engineers, but everybody must take responsibility. I know this is talked about, incinerator must have a manufacturer operation manual. Let me remind you as well that for deck officers, all the equipment on your bridge must have the manufacturer operating manual. So go and look for it. Next time I come a vessel, I'm coming to ask for it. You know, you must have it. If you don't have it now, look for it. If you cannot find it, download it and keep it close to the equipment. Okay. Excuse like they did not give us, they don't have it. You're on the vessel, so you know you should have it. Okay, so you need to be trained. You need to understand it as well. So it's the same thing here as well. Okay. Use of incinerator. So things you cannot put in the incinerator, garbage is defined, this, annex this, you can't put those ones. PVC can only be incinerated in type of. So what can your incinerator incinerate? You know, you need to, how it works, you need to know all those things. I need to meet the requirement as well. Fuel oil quantity, yes. So, you know, fuel oil, as we know, is a blend of a lot of couple of things, hydrocarbons. So we have to make sure we are not using coal fire. In you know, you guys will understand that already. Once you say that to examiner, you understand. No, I'm joking. Understand to not understand coal fire. All right. So yes, don't use fuel oil that would jeopardize the safety of the ship, performance of your machinery. So if people are giving you fuel, collect the quality certificates, make sure it's fine, collect samples before, during, you know, and if you feel it's going to jeopardize your vessel, don't collect it. You are under your rights not to do it. For that will harm your persons, don't collect it. You know, that will contribute to help pollution, don't collect it as well. Okay. Bunker delivery notes. You don't, yes, you see, when they're doing fuel, it's not just in some places that fuel matter is a big deal. It's a big deal everywhere because you have to follow the requirements. And posted controls, IOCs, inspectors, everybody wants to make sure that we are on the right side of the law. So you have to collect a bunker delivery note. You have to make sure every information is on it. And I think there's that update which I mentioned that has to be on the bunker delivery note that is new on the MSC 105. Hopefully we'll have time to look at that as well. So these are, as per regulation 18, what should be your fuel bunker delivery note. Okay. Density at 15 degrees Celsius, sulfur content. You see, that is key because we want to make sure it's you know the fuel you're using in a particular area. So if you use a fuel with high sulfur content in a sicker area, you know the consequence already. Now, samples, you need to have to collect your samples. The sample should not be sold, though. Not to be used for, don't use 25-liter sample. You know, So don't say that the 25 liters keg on your vessel is for sample. No, that I don't know. Anyway, but we need samples so that you can keep it, you can test it, and all that. Even some of vessels now, they have a fuel. I think it's a requirement of OV requirement that you should have a fuel sampling and testing regime. So when you get the fuel, there's the one you keep on board for inspection, and there's the one you send off for your testing, and it will tell you if the fuel is good, if color is okay, if this is okay, should it be used for that, and all that. So yes, your bunker manifold requirements, location, sampling, attachment is also a requirement. So it didn't just come from anywhere. So we should always remember that ship owners, they're not bad people. They are very good people. They don't just spend money for spending money's sake. They will not design something just because they like to design something. There's a reason why your load line is where it is. There's a reason why the sampling point on your bunker manifold is where it is, because all those things are covered by regulation. Another interesting one is there's a location where your emergency exits should be pasted on your vessel. I see a lot of these emergency exits pasted on the top of the door. I would say, why is it there at the top of the door? Nobody can explain. And there are reasons, there are codes, there are regulations to support that as well. So please, before you start getting penalty, know why things are where they should be. Okay. Yeah, why should you keep your logbook up to date? There are reasons, sir. So if there is some, and also this is also talking about inspection, and it's not just about this regulation or this annex only. This is how most inspectors operate. They will come with they will asking basic questions. Show me your logbook, show me this. When they notice that something is not well, you are not complying with the rule, then they'll start going more in depth, they will, until they find what they are looking for, and all that. So most inspectors, when you have an inspection on board your vessel, don't just freak out or whatever. They're not they don't know your vessel. You are the expert on the vessel, and they are there to ask questions. Is yes or no. If you say no, okay, fine. If you say yes, you showed the evidence. And by the time they start a little bit, they will see that okay, something is. You follow your intuition, and if you're experienced one, you see clear grounds for in-depth inspection. So they will request for it as well. So it is the same kind of concept that the port state control will do. So they come first, they keep digging, and if you are if you already if you're in the hole and they keep digging, you just get into more holes. And there are some deficiencies in which they can detain your vessel for. All right. So it's you get a detention notice or a prohibition notice and all that. And if you are not a non-party, your vessel is not a party to this, and you are in their country. So that's how it works as well. So if you say, okay, I'm a Nigerian flag, Nigeria is not a signatory to this, fine. But if you now go to Ghana and Ghana is a signatory, sorry, you will have to comply with that when you are in their waters. All right. So greenhouse gases, I hope you understand what that means and how it works. And there are other things you have to put into place as well. Most of this, if you get help from your technical superintendent, from your technical guys as well, to know how you do your voyage calculation. Are you unloaded? Are you loaded? Are you ballast? What do you need to do? What factors do you need to put into place for your heavy fuel oil, marine diesel oil? So if you are on tankers, big vessels, they use the heavy fuel oil. So smaller vessels, most times they just use the marine diesel oil. It depends on your engine capacities as well. So again, don't forget, anywhere you are going, depending on where you are going, not just your flag alone, the country you are entering, they have their own law. So it works like your passport. So you are a Nigerian or a South African or a Ghanaian with your own national passport. Then you go to a country like Greece or the UK, or you go to, your neighboring country. You don't follow your own country's law. You have to follow their own law in addition to yours, sort of. So it's the same way the ships operate. So everything is getting better. We have new engines, we have new technologies, we have and lobby groups, if you understand, lobby groups that are, the green groups. So things are changing. We cannot remain the way we are. We have to adapt and adjust to the things that are changing. So it is what it is. So we have to be ready for these changes. It will mean more paperwork for seafarers. It will mean more control. You guys are the ones using it, but there will be a lot of pressure, to comply with these things. Let me stop this and I quickly share some of the things that we just had in the MSF 105. That was a little bit fast. I'm sure you guys, I don't like to preach to the choir. Now, on certificates, I've mentioned them. I really want us to certificate. I don't know if there's a better way to explain certificates than when you play with it. So this was my own habit. When I go on board, my cadets are always, I try to get them into certificates, even if they've done it before or it's even done. I will tell them to go and check it, go and check the serial numbers, because I just want them to have a feel of the certificate. If you don't feel it and see it, and sometimes the questions come up from there, which I like, or at least, and it helps during your exams, So some of the certificate, I know we've mentioned it. It's for those in preparing for exams. Remember when you talk about your IOPP, for example, certificates, don't forget, if you get asked, there's something called a Form A, Form B. Don't forget that part, okay? When you talk about your cargo safety radio, cargo ship safety radio certificate, there's a, what's that? Can anybody remind me what is attached? Oh yeah, now who is going to remind me what is in with your cargo ship safety radio certificate? We have people that are preparing for exam in this place, so you guys are keeping quiet. Okay, where is Okuta? Oh yeah, it's time for you to speak now.
Hello, sir.
Hello. So tell me, what is what when
I
you
can hear you, sir.
your cargo ship safety radio certificates? Tell me about it.
Sir, Captain, the cargo safety certificate.
Yeah, radio.
Okay, radio certificate, sir.
Yes, tell me about it. What can you tell us about it? There's something I'm looking for.
I don't have much knowledge about it for now.
Okay, it's fine, no problem. That's why we are here. What I want, there's a Form R. I just want you guys to know that, especially when you are doing just preparing for exams, when you remember the certificates, don't just I know an examiner that has I've heard of an examiner that has asked about the IOPP, and the guy mentioned everything on the IOPP, and the examiner asked him, how many pages is your IOPP certificate? Something like that. One, if you hear how many pages, you are likely, that there's a problem, because if you have not played with those certificates, you don't even know how many pages. Now, how many pages is a tricky question. What the examiner wanted to find out is if the guy knows that there is Form A, Form B. He mentioned all the things, but he did not mention Form A, Form B, and that's what the examiner was looking for. So that's why I asked this question. Cargo ship safety radio, Form R. Cargo ship safety equipment. Which one? Who's going to tell us that one? What form is attached? Yeah, okay. I think NA has dropped the chart. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to use both my... Yeah, Form R. Okay, that's correct. So what about the cargo ship safety equipment? And I also think the ones on the passengers, you are going for unlimited license. So don't just think, yeah, Form E, that's correct. So don't just think they will ask you because you have been on service boats. They only ask you question on service boat. No, because something can happen now, and you find yourself on a passenger vessel. you cannot start explaining that. Sorry, I don't know. Okay. So let me share my screen on that. So that's very important. Please go through your certificate. You don't want to fail your orals because you did not mention certificate. It will be very painful. I will also share these pictures in the group, but let me just talk about it briefly while we are here, because unfortunately they are all in different PDFs. I got them in different PDFs, so it's not going to be easy to... Yeah, so this one's, is still kind of high level, but again, we are high level here. It's just for you to start knowing that some of the things that will happen. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, so yes, so let me see if I can zoom it a little bit more so we can start to see what's going to happen. Yeah. But again, you might not be able to see everything, but let's try. Okay, so I will drop it in the group, so don't worry if you cannot see it very well at the moment. I will, sorry, okay. So this was an online virtual meeting with IMO meeting, April 20 to 29. So this one is like a week or 2 weeks ago, so it's still a hot. Significant issues progress during this session. So there's an amendment to SOLAS. So let me see what I can do with this, my screen, if I can still increase it a little bit. Yeah, I think I can. Okay. Yes, a little bit more. Okay, so there's an amendment to SOLAS. These are the things that were discussed. And I think it's already adopted actually. Based on the modernization of GMDSS. So amendment to Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter Ds, certificates, relocation of provision of LSA communication equipment from Chapter 3 to Chapter 4, So those are new things that are coming up. This amendment will enter into force on the 1st of January 2014. So those of you that will be doing exams during that period or after, so, and where will you find additional details? Is there navigation, communication, search and rescue section of this brief. So, this thing is, they're not doing it to punish you, to go and say, everything should be open, not like, come and see me in my office, I will show you, all those things will pass that level. There's amendment to HSC code, you look at that based on the above amendment to SOLAS. There's going to be amendment to that. There's amendment to the IMS PC code. These ones are coming up 1st of January 2024. I like the way these people think. They will do something, they will give it time, not okay, we don't want to give unlimited to people from again, and we are starting with immediate effect. All those kind of I don't know how some people like to just torture each other like this. It can be interesting sometimes. Let me see, did my screen change? Yes, it did. Oh, so this is just going through it. I will share with us what am I still on the same place? Maybe I open it twice. Yeah, maybe it's opening the same thing. I think I've opened the same thing a couple of times. So I will do it. I saw there's an amendment somewhere. Let me stop sharing and see this, if I can see this particular one I want to share with us that is related to what we discussed today. Give me a minute, please. Oh, so sorry. I think I'm the one doing it wrong. I'm the one doing it the wrong way. It's a PDF document and it contains everything. So I'm supposed to just scroll down. That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So let me zoom it again and we can have fun after that. All right, so scroll down. Amendment to SOLAS, amendment to that, amendment to that. Amendment to the IMDG code as well. So, which is like the definition of pressure, receptacle shells of the IMDG code. I want you guys to, go back on board. This one is coming into force, so 1st of December. And some people might be voluntary. Which one is this? Voluntary. Yeah, okay, this is on the IMSBC code. Some have started since 1st of January 2023. So 2024 IMDG. So if you have, I'll share this as I said, and if you have it, just go through the code, identify the places that they want to even make some changes. Talk about it with your crew on the vessel. Try and feel like like a big boy or big girl that you are. So there's a new SOLAS chapter 15, safety measures for ship carrying industrial personnel. Okay, so that's coming sometime soon. And when will that come into force? But this amendment is subject to adoption of MSC 105 November 22 for entry into force 1st of July 2024. Okay, so industrial personnel. Okay, code for safety of ship carrying industrial personnel. That means something is coming. You see that. Domestic ferry safety. I don't know if this is going to affect suffer boats or not, or your canoe. But anyway, I'm joking. Yes, I think ship related to use of fuel oil. So this might have some interesting things. We want to talk about the flashpoints. Has to be now in the bunker delivery notes, if I'm right. So it's something that in the delivery notes, okay, must contain the flashpoint specified in. So those are things that you would see. So if you are into bunker business as well, you need to know that some of these things will come up, based on the adoption of that. All right. So business is not just I buy, I sell. It has to also, you have to think about other things, regulations surrounding the business that you do. Marine autonomous surface ships. So there's a roadmap for that. We're already discussing that. And there was a work plan on how we're going to make it happen. All right. So you see, forward thinking. Probably maybe we need more of that in some places. All right. So we're looking at entry into force of that by 2028. Some of you here, that's 6 years from now. So, okay. Navigation, communication, search and rescue. Okay, modernization of GMDSS. Okay. Obsolete system. So some of this will even affect maybe the examinations that people conduct. Like in the UK now, when you're doing your driving lessons or driving tests, they've included GPS for some years now. So, you know, as things get modernized, we have to follow it. So, you know, some of these things are now coming into places as well. This will be good with a cup of tea on the bridge at some point. You know, maybe you're in port or something, instead of flicking through Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can read this. Okay. Yeah. So some information here will be coming in as regards stability as well. Stability loading information, load line protocols. So some of these things will be interesting. I'm already excited about it. Damage stability for timber deck cargo in concept of damage stability requirements. This will be interesting to see during the SQA. I said I've mentioned the SQA. Some people's mind is doing this. Don't worry.
They do bis, as you mentioned.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. It's preparation. Nothing beats preparation. Interpretation requirement for noise in workshop. You know, yeah. So noise levels, we're probably looking at IGC code as well. Action to facilitate urgent evacuation of seafarers from war zone areas and around the Black Sea. So this was Sea of Azores. So yeah, there's the war there. Some people call it special military duty, but anyway, the seafarers that are working should not use seafarers to collect bullets. Okay. I would drop this, but it's good to know that this is hot. I had the privilege at the time when I was a cadet. I think that was 2007 or 2008, my final years as cadet in Wasatch, and they were going to discuss something about stability, and I think it came into force after some time. So they invited us as final year to just come and sit in and listen. You know, and the people making these discussions, you see the Professor D's, you know, some big boys. They are not plenty. They don't need crowd. And what they are going to be discussing will probably affect stability calculation. You guys are doing today. You know, so yes, it's always a pleasure to read things like this that come out from the IMO, from the body. So this was produced courtesy of ABS. Of course, they will have a representative in there. As you can imagine, this affects their business to the core. So yes, so thanks to them for giving a summary. I believe other class association will also do theirs, but I was able to get this through on the LinkedIn page for one of our ABS colleague that works in ABS, Susanna Barry Tombofa. So yes, so it was good just to mention that. Yes, that's where we get things from. We don't manufacture most of the things we use. So is there any question, any comments, please? Any feedback for us today? I hope I've not gone too fast on this issue. Any comments, any feedback for us today? So again, I would say that, you know, these are the things that will affect the major this information like this will affect the industry the most, and it starts with discussion, starts with a piece of paper. So at some point we realize that we cannot just be the people on the field there. We need to play roles in this kind of discussions as well, because by the time it gets to the field, it's too late. So, so we need to consciously, intentionally sit on tables where things like this have been discussed. And again, it goes into our politics locally as well. I don't intend to preach politics, but I'm saying that this is how things happen. Legislations will be passed. By the time it gets to us, it's already too late. You can only complain. You need to be on the table when they are discussing it. So yes, I know that what I'm saying now might not be applicable to a lot of us, but we need to hold it for the future. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the organizers of this of this group. And thanks everybody that has been able to attend.